The balance control system controls the flow of hydraulic fluid to the front and the rear brakes. It ensures that the front and the rear brakes are applied with appropriate timing and pressure. Depending on the vehicle, a metering valve, proportioning valve, or combination valve may be used. A metering valve is only used with a front disc and rear drum braking system. The metering valve delays the flow of the hydraulic fluid to the front disc brakes, enabling the rear drum brakes to slightly apply first. This component activates either in the initial phase of the braking application or during light braking. In a front-to-rear split hydraulic system, the metering valve may be a separate component or incorporated in the master cylinder. In a diagonally split system, the metering valve may be attached to the master cylinder. Fluid pressure within the hydraulic system affects the function of the metering valve. Click on the buttons to learn more about the operation of the metering valve. When the brakes are at rest and no fluid pressure is applied, the metering valve remains open. When the brakes are applied and the braking action begins, fluid pressure also starts to build. This pressure closes the metering valve's passage to the front brakes, blocking fluid flow to the front brake lines. Pressure is only delivered to the rear brakes. As a result, the rear brakes start applying first. Finally, as fluid pressure increases, the passage to the front brakes also opens, allowing fluid delivery to the front brakes and caliper application. When the brakes are released, the metering valve piston closes, but the valve stem passages remain open. This allows the fluid to escape back to the master cylinder. The proportioning valve limits hydraulic fluid pressure to the rear brakes. This function becomes even more important in case of hard braking when the weight of the vehicle shifts forward, decreasing traction between the rear tires and the road and allowing a greater chance for the rear brakes to lock up. Many vehicles have a standalone proportioning valve. With front-to-rear hydraulic split systems, one valve is used. Two valves are required for diagonally split systems. On some vehicles, the proportioning valve is installed onto the master cylinder. Click the buttons to view the operation of the valve. During most braking, or when the vehicle is in its normal rest condition, the passage to rear wheel circuits remains open. During hard braking, the sudden pressure increase closes the outlet to the rear wheels, preventing premature lockup. Another type of proportioning valve is the height sensing or load sensing proportioning valve. It's normally mounted near the rear suspension in the hydraulic circuit. The height sensing proportioning valve senses the load on the rear axle during braking through the height of the chassis above the axle. It allows more or less braking pressure depending on the load. For example, a heavily loaded truck could allow more brake apply pressure during braking because there's less possibility of its rear brakes locking up. The situation is reversed in the case of a lightly loaded truck, which allows less brake pressure to avoid locking up the rear brakes. The combination valve was developed to simplify the brake system and to save money by building 2 or 3 valve functions in one valve housing. Each valve section functions as it would if it were housed separately. There's a slight disadvantage to the combination valve. If one function fails, the entire unit must be replaced. A two-function valve contains a pressure differential valve, also called a brake warning switch, as well as either a metering valve or a proportioning valve. The hydraulic warning light illuminates when the hydraulic system loses pressure or the fluid level is low. There are two types of hydraulic warning switches: the pressure differential switch and the master cylinder fluid level switch, also called a float switch. Note: the RBWL can also be activated by the parking brake switch. However, for this lesson, we will focus on the hydraulic system activation of the lamp. Click on the buttons to learn more about the two systems. The pressure differential switch triggers the hydraulic warning light when a pressure difference is detected between the two hydraulic circuits. Various types of pressure differential switches may be used. Regardless of the specific type of switch, during normal operation, the differential valve is balanced by the equal pressure from both circuits of the hydraulic system. If the pressure is unequal, the valve will shift to one side, completing the electrical path and causing the red brake warning light to illuminate. The other low brake fluid warning switch is the float switch. The float switch is found in the plastic reservoir on some master cylinders and can replace the pressure differential switch. When the brake fluid level drops below a specified level, the RBWL illuminates, indicating a low fluid level. There are two potential causes for low fluid level. First, the float switch can also serve as an early warning if there is a leak in the hydraulic system. Secondly, as brake pads wear, the caliper pistons extend further in their bores, increasing the volume in the bores. As a result, the brake fluid level drops. Consequently, when the RBWL is on, the entire brake system needs to be inspected. In a three-function valve, there's a metering valve at one end, while the center section has the pressure differential valve and the other end has the proportioning valve.